You're walking down a street you've never visited. A stranger says a sentence, and suddenly your whole body freezes. You've done this before. You've heard this exact sentence before. You know it, but you haven't. You can't have. This is the first time. Your brain just lied to you, and it did it on purpose. This feeling has a name: déjà vu, French for already seen. Almost everyone has felt it. Most people brush it off as something spooky, something unexplainable, maybe even proof of a past life. But the real answer is far stranger than any of that. Déjà vu isn't a window into another timeline. It isn't a memory leaking in from somewhere else. It's your brain's error detection system catching itself in the act of being wrong. To understand why, you have to understand what memory actually is. Not a recording, not a video file sitting in a drawer in your skull. Memory is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from pieces, like assembling a puzzle from a box that's missing half its parts. And every single time you do this, your brain has to answer one quiet, constant question in the background. Have I experienced this before, or is this new? That question gets answered inside a structure called the hippocampus. Decode that for a second. The hippocampus is a small, curved piece of brain tissue tucked deep inside your temporal lobe, shaped a little like a seahorse, which is actually where it gets its name. It's your brain's filing clerk. It's the part of you responsible for tagging experiences as new or familiar, and for stitching together the where, the when, and the what of every moment you live. Right next to it sits another structure, the entorhinal cortex. Think of this as the hippocampus's assistant. It's a relay station, a checkpoint, comparing incoming sensory information against stored patterns before passing a verdict up the chain. New or familiar. Most of the time, this system works so smoothly, you never notice it's running. You walk into your kitchen for the 10,000th time, and your brain doesn't make a big deal out of it. Familiar, confirmed, move on. But what happens when the system glitches? In 2012, neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of Leeds ran an experiment designed to trigger déjà vu artificially in a lab under controlled conditions. He gave participants lists of related words. Words like bed, pillow, yawn, blanket. None of the words on the list was the word sleep. But because the brain had been primed with so many sleep-related concepts, when participants were later asked if they'd heard the word sleep, many of them swore they had. Their brain had built a false sense of familiarity out of fragments that were merely close enough. This is a well-known phenomenon in memory research called false memory, and O'Connor's twist was to put people inside a brain scanner while it happened. He wanted to know what lit up in the moment someone insisted, with total confidence, that they remembered something which never occurred. What he found surprised him. Areas tied to actual memory retrieval, like the hippocampus, stayed quiet. But regions tied to decision-making and conflict monitoring, deep in the frontal lobe, lit up instead. This told him something important. Déjà vu might not start in the part of your brain that stores memories at all. It might start in the part of your brain that checks memories for consistency, the part whose entire job is to look at two signals and ask, do these actually match? That's the core mechanism. Déjà vu, in this framing, isn't about an actual memory. It's about your brain's familiarity detection system getting tripped by something that resembles a memory closely enough to fire the alarm. Even though no real memory exists, your frontal lobe, in other words, is sounding a quiet siren. Something here doesn't add up. Here's where it gets stranger. Dr. Joseph Spate, a neurologist who studied déjà vu in patients with temporal lobe epilepsy, found something remarkable. Some of his patients experienced intense, vivid déjà vu as an aura right before a seizure. Their brains were misfiring electrical signals directly into the hippocampus and surrounding temporal lobe structures, and that misfire produced the unmistakable sensation that the present moment had already happened. For these patients, déjà vu wasn't a fleeting curiosity. It was a warning sign, a reliable signal that a seizure was seconds away, and many learned to recognize it as such. Doctors have even induced this artificially. In studies on patients undergoing brain surgery for epilepsy, neurosurgeons sometimes keep the patient awake and conscious, using mild electrical stimulation to map which parts of the brain control which functions before removing damaged tissue. When that stimulation lands on the temporal lobe, something strange happens. Patients sitting upright in a hospital bed, fully alert, suddenly insist they've lived this exact moment before. The lights, the doctor's voice, the position of their own hand. All of it familiar, all of it impossible. Turn the stimulation off and the feeling vanishes instantly, like a light switch. Think about what that actually means. Déjà vu isn't mystical. It isn't your soul remembering a past life or a parallel universe bleeding through. It's a specific physical event in a specific physical structure of your brain, one that scientists can switch on and off with electricity. So, why does it happen to healthy people who don't have epilepsy, who never went near a hospital? This is where psychologist Ann Cleary at Colorado State University changed the conversation. Cleary proposed that déjà vu often comes from something called Gestalt familiarity. Decode that term. Gestalt in psychology means the whole shape or configuration of something, rather than its individual parts. Cleary's research suggests that déjà vu can occur when the spatial layout of a new scene closely matches the spatial layout of something you've seen before, even if you can't consciously recall the original. Picture this. You walk into a new friend's living room for the first time. The couch is on the left, a window behind it, a bookshelf to the right. You've never been in this exact room, but maybe years ago, you walked into a dentist's waiting room with the same layout. Couch left, window behind, shelf right. You don't remember the dentist's office. You've forgotten it completely, but your brain hasn't. Somewhere, that spatial pattern is still stored, and when the new room matches it closely enough, your familiarity system fires. You feel certainty. You feel, I have been here before, but you can't say when because the actual memory triggering it never reaches conscious recall. In her lab, Cleary used virtual reality to recreate this exact effect. Participants explored virtual scenes built from similar spatial layouts, scenes they had never technically visited before, but which echoed the shape of ones they had. And reliably, those layout-matched scenes produced significantly more reports of déjà vu than scenes with random, unrelated layouts. So your brain isn't broken when this happens. It's doing something quite sophisticated. It's running a background search for structural similarity, and when it finds a strong enough match, it tags the moment as familiar, even without handing you the source. Here's the twist nobody expects. Déjà vu might actually be proof that your memory system is working correctly, not incorrectly. Stay with this for a second. Your brain isn't supposed to treat every new experience as completely unprecedented. If it did, you'd be overwhelmed constantly, treating every room, every face, every street corner as a totally novel event, requiring full conscious analysis. Instead, your brain runs a constant, fast, mostly unconscious check. Does this match anything I already know? Déjà vu happens when that check goes slightly haywire. The familiarity signal fires too strongly or fires without the matching source memory attached to it. And researchers like Akira O'Connor argue that this is actually a sign of healthy function, not malfunction. Your brain is essentially running a conflict check. It's noticing, this feels familiar, but I have no actual memory record to back that up, and something is wrong here. Then it flags that conflict to your conscious mind as a strange, eerie sensation. That eerie sensation is your brain's error correction system reporting back to you. It's a built-in fact checker, catching its own confusion in real time and alerting you to it. Which means the spookiest feeling most humans experience might just be evidence that your brain doesn't blindly trust its own first impression. It double-checks. And when the check comes back inconsistent, it tells you. Interestingly, déjà vu becomes less common as people age. Younger people, especially those in their teens and 20s, report it far more frequently than older adults, with some surveys showing the experience peaking in the 15 to 25 age range, and then steadily declining from there. One theory, again connected to O'Connor's work, suggests this is because younger brains have a stronger, more active error-checking frontal cortex relative to the rest of the brain's development. The frontal lobe, the part responsible for catching the mismatch and flagging it to your conscious awareness, is still maturing and highly active during adolescence and early adulthood. As people age, that conflict detection system may become slightly less vigilant, which is part of why elderly populations sometimes show reduced déjà vu, even as actual memory errors, the kind people don't notice, tend to increase. That's an unsettling thought, isn't it? The feeling that flags a memory glitch fades with age. Right around the same time, actual unflagged memory errors start increasing. The alarm gets quieter exactly when you need it most. This also explains why déjà vu shows up more often when you're tired, stressed, or mentally overloaded. Fatigue and stress are known to disrupt normal hippocampal function, making it easier for the matching system to misfire. Some researchers have also noted that certain medications, particularly ones that affect dopamine and glutamate, the two big chemical messengers tied to memory and pattern recognition, can increase the frequency of déjà vu as a side effect. None of this means anything is broken inside you. It simply means the system runs hotter under certain conditions, the same way a smoke detector is more likely to go off when you're frying something at high heat. A few extra false alarms are the price of keeping the system sensitive enough to catch the real thing. So, what does any of this mean for you? Walking around in your ordinary life, having an ordinary day. It means your memory was never a perfect recording device, and it was never supposed to be. It's a reconstruction engine, built from fragments, patterns, and educated guesses, running constant background checks you never consciously notice, until one of those checks misfires just enough to surface into awareness. Déjà vu isn't a crack in reality. It's a glimpse into the machinery underneath your own mind. A rare moment where you get to watch your brain checking its own work. Most of the time, that machinery hides itself perfectly. You never see the gears turning. You just experience a seamless, continuous sense of self, of place, of now. But every once in a while, for a few unsettling seconds, the curtain slips, and you catch your own mind in the act of doing the most ordinary, extraordinary thing it does every day, deciding, moment by moment, what is real, what is new, and what you've somehow, impossibly, already lived before.